Good morning, sweet and cute student of class 7th. St. Ms. Regina, welcome you for studying geography, second chapter, the atmosphere. Before beginning our chapter, I would like to remind you that I have given you some homework to do in your notebook. I hope you all have done. I need your assurance in comment box if you have done. You say, sir, we have completed our work in notebook. Now, for your revision test, I have to give you some of the symbols to draw. You can open page number 8 and there is F exercise. There are symbols and you have to draw those 8 symbols as your revision test. Okay, there is town or village, metal road, broad gauge, railway, bridge, embankment, dry tank, lined well, water, entry. All this you have to draw for your revision test. Okay, and then you have to tell me that you have completed. Now, our second chapter of today, the atmosphere. Dear students, you are well familiar what is atmosphere. Atmosphere means what is surrounding us. Let us see the chapter, we'll understand chapter wise. I'll go through the chapter, I'll read the chapter. You put your finger and be with me. The Earth is only the planet in the solar system that support life. This is mainly due to the presence of land, water, and air on the Earth. You already have some idea about the landforms and the water bodies in this chapter. So, in this chapter, you will learn about the blanket of air that surrounds our planet. Okay, let us see what is atmosphere. The blanket of air that surrounds the earth is known as atmosphere. Please underline with your pencil. This is the definition. I repeated. The blanket of air that surrounds the earth is known as atmosphere. From Greek word atmos meaning vapor. The atmosphere extends more than 1,000 kilometers above the earth's surface. It's held in a place by the earth's force of gravity. So this is what meaning about atmosphere. What is the composition? Composition means what air includes. Air which makes up of atmosphere is a mixture of several gases. You can underline from here. Nitrogen makes about 78% and oxygen about 21% of the total volume of the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide makes up 0.03% and the remaining 0.97% includes other constituents such as argon, ozone and water vapor. So this you can underline. This is main constituent. Nitrogen makes up about 78%. How much? 78. And oxygen about 21% of the total volume of the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide makes up about 0.03% and the remaining 0.97% include the other constituent such as argon, ozone and water vapor. Some dust particles are also present in the atmosphere, although the gases present in the atmosphere are used up in certain process. They are also released back into the atmosphere in other process. Thus, the composition of the lower part of the atmosphere remains fairly constant. So, fairly constant and be divided into 5 layers. Let us see layers of atmosphere. What are layers of atmosphere? On the basis of composition, temperature, and other properties, the atmosphere may be divided into 5 layers. Starting from the bottom, the layers are called troposphere, second stratosphere, third mesosphere, thermosphere, and last exosphere. You can underline these are the first layer is troposphere, second layer is stratosphere, third layer is mesosphere, and fourth layer is thermosphere, and the last one, topmost, is exosphere. I'll show you diagram also for this. However, the boundaries between these layers are neither fixed nor well defined. The layers overlap and vary in thickness. Let us see what is troposphere. The lowest and the densest layer of the atmosphere is known as a troposphere. About three-fourths of the mass of the atmosphere is contained within this layer. The extent of this layer is about 18 km above the equator, but only about 8 km above the two poles. The troposphere acts like a blanket. It prevents days. It prevents days from becoming very hot and nights from becoming very cold. Within the troposphere, the temperature decreases as we move up. Most of the water vapor, clouds, and dust particles of the atmosphere are found in this layer. The troposphere gets its name from the Greek word tropos, which means turning. This is because all the weather changes that we experience take place in this troposphere. The upper limit of the troposphere is marked by the tropopause, where a general decrease in temperature with altitude stops. So this is the fact. What is troposphere and what is tropopause? Let us see now next layer, stratosphere. Stratosphere lie about troposphere, extend about 50 kilometers above the Earth's surface. A part of the stratosphere is known as ozonosphere. What is ozonosphere? A part of the stratosphere. It can come in extra question as it has a maximum concentration of ozone in the atmosphere. You can underline it. A part of the stratosphere is known as ozonosphere as it has the maximum concentration of ozone in the atmosphere. Ozone protects us by absorbing harmful ultraviolet rays of the sun. The ozonosphere become quite warm by absorbing these rays. See dear student, now we have this diagram, figure 2.1. It is very important diagram. You can draw this diagram in your notebook. Okay, so see carefully. It is having first layer troposphere, given their measurement also 8 to 18 kilometer, 50 kilometers ending stratosphere, 80 kilometer up to mesosphere, then thermosphere, and at last you can see exosphere. So this is what the division of all the layers they are saying. Let us see now mesosphere. The mesosphere lies about the stratosphere. It extends about 80 kilometers above the Earth's surface. In this layer, the temperature decreases with altitude and falls as low as minus 85 degrees Celsius. And meteors entering the atmosphere usually burn up the temperature. Mesosphere. What is meteors? It is foreign material. You can say rocks coming from different universe, or there are different rocks we have studied in solar system. While studying solar system, we have seen that there are so many rocks between the planets, and those rocks, when they are coming in the Earth's surface, we call them meteors. Thermosphere. Above the mesosphere lies the thermosphere, which extended to a height of about 450 kilometers above the Earth's surface. The temperature rises rapidly with altitude in this layer. Exosphere. The exosphere is the outermost layer of the atmosphere. The upper reaches of this layer merge with outer space. The temperature in the exosphere is very high. Let us see more now. On second column, we are there. There is a layer in the atmosphere in which the molecules of the atmospheric gases are broken into charged particle called ion. This layer is called ionosphere. So you can see, where is ionosphere? Ionosphere in the thermosphere, because charged particles are there. So this is called ionosphere. It reflects or sends back radio waves towards the earth. This helps in radio transmission. The ionosphere starts about 50 km and extend up to 1000 km above the Earth's surface. So this ionosphere is in two layers, thermosphere also and exosphere also. Okay. Let us see importance of atmosphere. It is very important point are coming now. This is one of the answer also. The atmosphere is essential for life on Earth. Why? Let us see why. Because the atmosphere gives us oxygen that we breathe. The carbon dioxide in the atmosphere helps the plant to manufacture their food in the presence of sunlight. The atmosphere stops the sun rays from heating up the earth beyond certain level. Also, carbon dioxide in the atmosphere does not let too much heat escape from the earth. So, the atmosphere prevents the earth's surface from becoming too hot or too cold. The ozone in the atmosphere protects us from harmful ultraviolet rays of the sun. The ozone in the atmosphere protects us from the harmful ultraviolet rays of the sun. Nitrogen is required in various forms to keep the soil fertile. It helps in the growth of the plants which give us food. And second last point, atmosphere which give us rain, snow, and wind, which are important elements of weather. The water vapor in the atmosphere causes rainfall and snowfall. Wind is nothing but the horizontal movement of air. So that is why atmosphere is very important. Last important point is atmosphere prevent most of the meteors, that is meteors, meteors, from hitting the earth surface. Meteors, I told you, the foreign rocks, or you can say foreign substance coming from the universe and coming into the layers of the earth atmosphere. Let us see heating of the atmosphere. How atmosphere get heated? The sun is the chief source of heat and light for the earth. It radiates or sends out energy in all the direction. The earth receives only a very small fraction of this energy. This is because, why it receives less energy? Because the earth is far away from the sun. The solar energy received by the earth is called incoming solar radiation. Underline it. or insolation. What is insolation? The solar energy received by the earth is called incoming solar radiation or insolation. This energy is chiefly responsible for heating the earth's surface. The incoming solar radiation first passes through the earth atmosphere. The air, the clouds, and the dust particle present in the atmosphere reflect a part of the incoming radiation back into the space. Air, clouds, and dust also absorb a part of the incoming radiation, but this heats up the atmosphere only slightly. About half of the incoming radiation reaches the Earth's surface. The Earth's surface is heated by this energy. The heated surface of the Earth in turn radiates heat. This called terrestrial radiation. The atmosphere is heated mainly by the terrestrial radiations. What is terrestrial radiation? The heat coming back from the surface of the earth. What is surface of the earth? I'll show you in diagram, then you will understand. The air near the earth's surface get heated by being in direct contact with the earth's hot surface. This heating is done by conduction. Conduction is touching process. Conduction means air molecules are touching now the ground, so that is called conduction process. When the air near the ground is heated, it expands and becomes lighter and rises. As it rises, it gradually gets cooled. The cool air being heavy sink down. Thus, as warm air rises from the surface, cool air from the above comes down to replace it. This causes a cyclonic movement of the air currents near the Earth's surface. These air currents transfer heat upwards. Such transfer of heat currents is called convection. So when it is transferring without touching, then it is convection. When heat is transferring by touching, it is known as conduction. We have seen here before conduction. Okay. So now we are showing you this diagram. The water cycle. It is one of the important diagram. So this diagram you can note down in notebook, and that layers of atmosphere also you can draw in your geography notebook, all of you. Okay, the water cycle goes on all the time in the process, and some of the water on the earth goes into atmosphere as water vapor, changes into water droplets from the clouds. Ultimately, it comes back to the earth's surface and rain. In fifth class, sixth class, you have studied water cycle, and this is again you should understand how water balance took place on earth. Now let us see this diagram, which is also very important diagram here on this page. We can see the Earth's surface, heated land surface, and how terrestrial radiation by red arrows is shown, and how cool air is coming down. So that is how rising warm air being replaced by cool air at the heat land surface, and such process is called convection. Okay. So this is what convection is taking place when these molecules are touching the ground, then it is conduction. When without touching it is taking place, then it is convection. Rising warm air is being replaced by cold air at the heated land surface. Let us see now one of the important point, greenhouse effect. Much of the terrestrial radiation is reflected towards the earth mainly by the carbon dioxide present in the atmosphere and by clouds. As a result, the heat cannot escape into the space and gets trapped on the earth. This effect is similar to the heating of the greenhouse. As greenhouse effect, hence it is known as greenhouse effect. How? Atmosphere is covered, and so the rays of the sun, we have seen the diagram now, they are not able to go into the space and they are trapping like. So such process called greenhouse effect and cause greenhouse causes causing the gases causing it is called greenhouse gases. Okay, the gases which are causing it is called greenhouse gases. With this tapping of heat, the earth, without this tapping of heat, the earth would have been very cold at night when there is no insulation to replace the heat lost through terrestrial radiation. In night there is no sun, so if this trap heat is not there, then earth will be very cold and we will not be able to survive. In fact, it would have been so cold that we would not have survived. The greenhouse effect is essential for our survival, but too much for it can be harmful. So, sufficient amount of greenhouse effect must be there, but too much excess of everything is bad. Similarly, if too much greenhouse effect is there, then it can cause global warming. If it goes on increasing, it causes global warming. See, underline. What is global warming? The continuously increasing effect. Which effect? Greenhouse effect. More than its limit. So when it is more than a limit, it is known as global warming. A gradual rise in temperature across the world. So this is there what we can see. This you can perform at home. If you are covering the glass, take a large glass jar, fit it partially with dry sand, take a laboratory thermometer to piece of card and place it inside the jar. Cover the mouth of the jar with a piece cut from clear plastic bag and fix it with a rubber band. Place the jar on the sunny window. Keep the thermometer turned away from the sun. Note the reading of the thermometer every 10 minutes. Does it get hotter and hotter inside the jar? Yes, it will be getting hotter and hotter. This diagram will give you understanding how greenhouse effect is working. As we have covered the jar, so the rays are trapped in the jar and thus their temperature are increasing. It's not compulsory to do, but still if you don't understand what is greenhouse effect, you can perform this activity. Threats to atmosphere. Air pollution. Any harmful change in the composition of the air is known as air pollution. This mainly happen in the process of regulating the composition of the air are disturbed or if harmful substances are added to air, substances that cause pollution are called pollutants. Okay, so pollution means a harmful substance in the atmosphere. In cities and industrial areas, automobiles and factories are the chief polluting agent. They emit large amount of gases such as carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide. They also emit solid pollutants such as unburned carbon particles from fuel. Some of the emitted substances such as carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, and compounds of lead and other poisonous metals are harmful for us. Natural agent may also cause pollution. Volcanoes, for example, release huge amount of dust, ash, and poisonous gases into the atmosphere, so they can also cause this pollution. You see in the atmosphere, terrestrial radiation is shown, some of the energy is trapped. Very clearly, they are showing how greenhouse effect is taking place. Then some of the energy goes out into the space. What is insolation? Up to where atmosphere is there. So this is what greenhouse effect. This diagram no need to draw, only to understand. Okay, this is for your understanding. Let us see now what is global warming. The chief cause of global warming is gradual increase in the greenhouse effect due to the rising level of the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Green plant reduce the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere some of it by taking in some of it during photosynthesis. However, as the human population is growing, we are cutting down more and more trees for wood. We are clearing forests to use the land for building and agriculture, for buildings and agriculture. And our factories and vehicles are emitting more carbon dioxide than ever before. In other words, we are increasing the emission of carbon dioxide but reducing the number of trees. This is gradually increasing the amount of carbon dioxide in the air and in turn greenhouse effect. As a result, global temperature on the land and in oceans are slowly rising. But surely, continued global warming may produce several ill effects. Like today, we have effect this coronavirus. So this is one of the effect of pollution. This is the one effect of reducing number of trees. If more trees are there, then air will purify itself. So now, atmosphere become more pure day by day with the passage of time. 40 days lockdown over. So like this, it will go on. Now let us see what are the ill effects. It could cause much of the ice at the poles and the mountains to melt. So, what will happen if global warming will increase? It could cause much of the ice at the poles and mountains to melt. This in turn would cause the water level of ocean to rise and many islands in the coastal areas would go underwater. Already there are signs of this. For example, sea ice in the Arctic Ocean is melting earlier in the air and forming later than before. Glaciers across the world are retreating, becoming smaller. The sea level too is rising. Climate and rainfall pattern may change. Already many places are having long spells of drought that is very dry weather, severe storms and floods at unexpected times. The general rise in the temperature may change the seasonal behavior of some plants and animals. Already in some places, flowers are blooming earlier in the year and the birds are laying eggs out of season when the chicks may not have enough to eat. In the northern hemisphere, some of the animals are shifting their home to cooler place for the north, creating problem for the original animal for those places. The warming of ocean is killing corals, which give shelter to many creatures. It also killed plankton, that is tiny creature on which many sea animals feed. So such changes, what will happen? Such changes could ultimately cause the extinction of many creatures. Change in the climate and rainfall patterns, drought, flood, etc., are likely to reduce the yield of crop plants. That may in future cause food shortage for the human population. So that is what I will show you one of the diagram of one of the particular place you can see in 1981. A retreating glacier. Retreating means melting glacier. As more glacier melt away, the pool of water formed by melting ice grows larger. So this is one of the place. In 1961, more ice was there. In 1998, less ice. And in 2009, what happened? Most of the ice has been destroyed. So that is what is happening. This is the effect of global warming. You can see, you can observe the changes in this picture. Let us see now what is ozone depletion. So this ozone depletion. You know that most of the ozone in the atmosphere is concentrated in the atmosphere, but the thickness of the layer of ozone is not the same all over the world and or at all times of the year. For example, in September and October, when it is spring in the southern hemisphere, much of the atmospheric ozone over the South Pole is destroyed, and the ozone layer in this area becomes very thin. Such thin patches is called ozone hole. When ozone layer is a protecting layer which is all round around the earth, and when it is thin, very thin, from some places it's called ozone hole. It will not be able to trap harmful rays, and when those rays will come down, then human being skin can got skin cancer and many other problems. It forms when the weather conditions are ideal for certain chemical reaction in which compounds such as fluorochlorocarbons, underline it, what is chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs, release chlorine which destroy ozone. CFCs are man-made. They are present in many kind of sprays and cooling agents like using refrigerators and air conditioners. So man is using more air conditioner and refrigerators. These are producing CFCs and they are destroying ozone layer day by day and making more and more problem. CFC released into the troposphere gradually move up to the stratosphere. There they stick to the ice clouds that form over Antarctica during the intensely cold and continuously dark winter. When sunlight returns in spring, the clouds melt and CFC on the cloud surface react to the produce chlorine, rapidly destroying ozone. Seasonal ozone depletion take place at the North Pole too, but it is much lesser because North Polar region has lesser land and the air over it does not get as cold as it gets over the South Pole. So fewer ice clouds are formed. The greenhouse effect increases ozone depletion. It traps heat in the troposphere and does not let it reach to stratosphere. This makes the stratosphere cooler, helping more ice clouds to form. Ozone depletion allows more of the sun's harmful ultraviolet rays to reach us. Thus, they can give us sunburns and skin cancer and can also damage our eyes. I'll show you now. This is ozone hole, a large ozone hole over Antarctica. This was once recorded in September 2006 by satellite images. So you can see how much big it is and how much harmful it will be. Let us see now protecting the atmosphere. How can we protect atmosphere? However, our activities can protect atmosphere, which is very helpful. Here are some of the things which we can do to protect the atmosphere and check global warming. We can plant trees at this help to reduce global warming. We can try to save electricity as power generation burns fuels increases global warming. We can save electricity by turning off lights, fans, etc., and unplugging chargers, lamps, etc., when they are not in use. Using energy saving devices such as LED light bulbs, LCD monitors also help. We can try to use lesser heating and lighting at home. For example, we could wear warmer clothes instead of using heaters in winter. We can reuse and recycle things to save energy and used in factories to make these things. We can avoid buying packaged food and bottled water as they save the energy needed to make these. We can burn lesser fuel by using car less. So car also produce global warming. I'll show you in picture. So we can burn lesser fuels by using car less. We can use public transport or pooling carpooling if possible, walking or cycling. That is best. Walking or cycling is even best in these age when we have to do social distancing. So walking separately, walking in distance, that is the best way of doing work if we have to go out. But still we have to stay home, stay safe. So for this purpose we must not go out, but we have to stay safe. We should replace old refrigerators and air conditioners, especially those made before 1995. With new one, this help to reduce the production of CFC. Even new air conditioners should be used as little as possible. So, which things are producing this problem of CFC, chlorofluorocarbon? We have to use them less. Points to remember what we understood in this chapter. I have taught you about atmosphere is a blanket of air around the earth. It has main five layers: that's troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere, and exospheres. Second point I have told you, air, the mixture of gas that makes up about atmosphere. It has about 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, 0.03% carbon dioxide, 0.97 other constituents such as argon, ozone, and water vapor. Okay, so this I have taught you. Next point, I have told you about insolation. The solar energy received by the earth is called insolation. Terrestrial radiation, the heat that the earth's surface radiates after being heated by insolation. So conduction, transfer of heat by the direct contact. When it is in contact, it is called conduction. Convection, transfer of heat by the movement of heated particles in the atmosphere. It happens. Warm air rises and cool air moves down to replace it. What is greenhouse effect? Greenhouse effect is the trapping of the heat due to the reflection of the terrestrial radiation towards the earth, mainly by the atmospheric carbon dioxide. What are greenhouse gas? A gas such as carbon dioxide that trap heat by reflecting terrestrial radiation towards the earth is called greenhouse gas. What is global warming? A gradual rise in the temperature across the world is known as global warming. I've told you about air pollution also. Any harmful change in the atmosphere in the composition of air is called air pollution. What is pollutant? A substance that causes pollution is called pollutant. Ozone hole, a patch in the stratosphere where the ozone layer has become very thin, so that is called ozone hole. What are chlorofluorocarbon? One of the various man-made components that presence of sunlight release ozone depleting chlorine. So this is chlorofluorocarbon. There are short answers, dear sweet student. You have to take effort to find them. I'll give you a hint. What is atmosphere? You will find on page number 10. Then what are the chief constituent of the atmosphere? That also on page number 10. Name five layers of the atmosphere in order to the distance from the ground. That is also on page number 10. You can find it out. In which part of the atmosphere does the ozonosphere lie? Stratosphere. What is insolation? You will find in page number 8. What is air pollution? Page number 13 you can take, and name one of the natural and one made agent of the air pollution that you have to find, and I'll be checking your answers in next class. When next geography period will be there, I will be giving all the answers. Okay, name two sources of CFCs. Why is that depletion of atmosphere is bad for us? So you have to try to distinguish between, also answer with brief explanation also. So there are long answers, there are fill-ups. You have to find by yourself. Although there are few answers you can see on the screen, either you can use this hints which are given by pencil if you are understanding. If you are not understanding, you have to wait for next class. In next class I will clear all your fill-ups, all you choose the correct. Okay, then you should be ready to answer in the comment box. Those who are working hard, they will be able to find all the fill-ups and all the choose the correct. Okay, this is what we have. There are 9 choose the correct, and the diagram which I told you, this thermosphere, stratosphere, this you also have to draw in your notebook. It's important diagram. Things to do, you read and understand how you are feeling hot when you are a car, when you are inside a car. So this is, you can do it. Things to do also, you read and you ask your doubt in the comment box. Till then, take care. Okay, goodbye, have a nice day, and study nicely. Keep your parents happy, complete your work on time. Okay, goodbye.